you a look inside of that courthouse in Latah County, Idaho, where Bryan Kohberger is present and hearing a motions hearing on key issues in this case. Let's get you into that courtroom where we are hearing from both sides.
All right, I got to get my coffee ready.
Oh, this is him today?
Yep, this is today. This is today.
He looks relaxed.
Let's see, I got to get my coffee cup ready. All right, coffee cup is ready.
All right. Thank you very much. Pleased to see you. All right.
Yeah, he looks really relaxed.
Okay, let's get on the record, please. That's our facing. Technology. Court. No. Just half of it. Just put it flat. There we go. That's good. Now, technology information.
I'll only be blocking BK when they zoom. Otherwise, I'm going to be playing it like normal.
And discovery. We also have a motion to reconsider the order stating time for speedy trial. There's also in opposing that, a second motion to stay proceedings regarding alleged irregularities of the grand jury. And from the state, we also have a motion to compel notice of defense of alibi and a motion for scheduling order. So that's what we're going to hear today. I think we're probably going to use most of the morning with the motion for protective order and third motion to compel. We expect some testimony from Mr. Kohberger's team, and that's where we're going to start. So anything preliminary, Mr. Thompson?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Taylor?
Nothing preliminary, Your Honor. We're ready to call them.
Okay, so we'll do that, and then we'll move to argument from both sides. I thought about who should go first in terms of the argument. Mr. Thompson, go ahead.
No, that's good.
Yeah, I mean, who would first make the argument on the protection order? Would you prefer to do that after you hear the argument from the defense?
It may make more sense, Judge, to do that. I think the record will be better for Your Honor.
Okay, that's why I suggested that. Thank you.
Yes.
All right, so we'll hear the testimony, then argument from Mr. Kohberger's team, and then to the state.
Your Honor, just for the record, Mr. Nye and Ms. Beatty are the ones handling this particular motion. Ms. Beatty has the witnesses, the proposed witnesses, Mr. Kohberger and Mr. Nye, of course, briefed the matter and will be prepared for the legal argument.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. All right, call your first witness.
Your Honor, along those lines, I should inform the court that I'll be handling all of the witnesses that we call today. Ms. Matzoff will be presenting our argument in support of our motion to compel and probably the rebuttal to the protective order request by the state as well.
Okay, you all might need to remind me as we go along here.
Sounds fair.
Okay, Ms. Beatty.
For as a housekeeping matter, I have some objections that I'd like to put on the record
Okay.
with regard to these witnesses. With regard to Ms. Barlow and Mr. Mercer, the state made its concerns on these two witnesses clear in its reply brief filed on July 14th. But the state believes that calling two attorneys to testify about legal conclusions during a discovery dispute is simply not proper. Both Mr. Mercer and Ms. Barlow, consult with defense attorneys on discovery issues and calling them to testify about legal conclusions and a discovery dispute is tantamount to the state calling prosecutors as staff witnesses to testify about training that they've done in a specialized particular area. That's a path I don't think we want to go down. And Ms. Taylor is an attorney practicing in Idaho who's well regarded and is seen as one of the preeminent defense attorneys in the state. There's nothing that these witnesses tell the court that Ms. Taylor can't simply consult with them about and then argue to the court. So our position is that these witnesses' testimony is duplicative of whatever Ms. Taylor can argue, and it does not fall within the scope of 702. With regard to Gabriela Vargas, the state is objecting to her testimony as well, Your Honor. We received her declaration just yesterday. There was no CV attached. Ms. Vargas is being submitted to this court as an expert witness, and the state has no way of vetting her expertise without a CV. There is no way for us to verify anything in her affidavit. It puts the state in essentially an ambush position where we're being presented with this witness with no way to verify her qualifications. We would ask that this witness be excluded from testifying today as well. And then finally, the state would just make a blanket motion and would be that these witnesses not be allowed to testify about legal decisions or legal arguments. Thank you, Your Honor.
Ms. Taylor?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, the first two witnesses that the state objects to, Victor Barlow and Steve Mercer, are two people who have been known to the state for quite some time. What they say to you in court now is their objection was made known on July 14th in their reply to, in support of their protective order after we get a response to their motion for protective order and an objection to it, that it's not an objection to them testifying. They spent a lot of pages telling the court why the court should not pay any attention to the declarations that were attached to our third motion to compel. So that's not an objection to them testifying at all. These witnesses have been made known for a long time. They were certainly known last week when we had a planning session and we talked about the number of witnesses that were going to testify. No objection was stated at that time either. Waiting until today, when those witnesses have both traveled and been here and been prepared to testify, that's an ambush, Your Honor. They're here, they're prepared. Their testimonies are relevant to the issues that the court has to decide. They're going to talk to the court about two different things as it relates to our discovery rule and the information that Mr. Kohberger is seeking so that we can do our job. Your Honor, you're going to hear from a witness, Leah Larkin, Dr. Leah Larkin as well, and she's going to talk about the process of genetic genealogy. Both Ms. Barlow and Mr. Mercer are attorneys. Both are well-versed in criminal defense. Both are well-versed in DNA and genetic genealogy. The state's position has been that this is not discoverable because we're not going to present it at trial. That's not the end of the story. That's not the discovery rule. And those are the things that Victor Barlow and Steve Mercer will talk about. Victor Barlow has a lot of training in DNA. She does a lot of teaching on DNA as well. It's not a simple little process, and they'll describe what kinds of materials we should have in discovery. Mr. Mercer will talk about what we will do with those kinds of materials and why they're necessary to Mr. Kohberger's presentation, the preparation of his case. They'll talk about our constitutional duties to Mr. Kohberger. Those are not conclusions. Those are things that have to do with this material, these things that we are seeking the court to order the state to hand over to us, and why they're necessary to the preparation of the case. So for those two witnesses, I
Right.
make the argument, but I don't have the expertise in the DNA. that the court needs to hear to understand that they fall squarely within our discovery rule. Your Honor, I'll speak about Gabriella Vargas now. Her declaration was disclosed yesterday. Much of that declaration has CD-related items.
And I'm just letting you guys know the times that I do put up the coffee cup where it is at this angle is just because BK is turning his face and you can see. I don't want people to analyze his jaw and his eyes and things like that. So that's why you'll see the coffee cup pop on sometimes with this angle and sometimes not. When he's facing forward, I'm not going to have the coffee cup up. I just don't want anybody to analyze shit when he's like looking towards the camera. That's all.
In it, it talks about her background for training, right in the body of that declaration. That declaration is not as soon as we would have wanted that. Gabriella Vargas met with me a few weeks ago, and for personal reasons that I'm not going to put on the record, she was unable to complete that until a later period of time. So that one is late. I know that one came in yesterday. She's here, she's prepared to be cross-examined by the state, and certainly there are many other remedies besides just excluding her. The court could allow us to present her testimony, and the state doesn't feel that they've had opportunity to cross-examine her or present a witness in response to her. The court could leave this open and take that up. The court could even order Ms. Vargas to appear by Zoom for further cross-examination. But we should at least let her testimony come out here in court today. She's here, Your Honor.
Oh, wait, can you guys hear me still? Oh, okay, he said 1 sec.
Sorry about that. StreamYard was bugging and it actually booted me. So give me 1 second. I'm gonna
Oh,
bring that.
okay, it was just you. Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, it was just StreamYard. I apologize. Give me 1 second. Let me see. And I'm gonna go back just like a minute or two because I'm sure it was getting buggy before that. It just happened when I had to boot somebody out of here and then StreamYard kind of bugged out. So sorry about that. But I wanted to make sure I got that carbon dioxide the fuck out of here. So give me 1 second. All right, here we go. Sorry about that, everybody.
Ago, and for personal reasons that I'm not going to put on the record, she was unable to complete that until a later period of time. So that one is late. I know that one came in yesterday. She's here, she's prepared to be cross-examined by the state, and certainly there are many other remedies besides just excluding her. The court could allow us to present her testimony, and the state doesn't feel that they've had opportunity to cross-examine her or present a witness in response to her. The court could leave this open and take that up. The court could even order Ms. Vargas to appear by Zoom for further cross-examination. But we should at least let her testimony come out here in court today. She's here, Your Honor.
Thank you, David. The response.
Your Honor, I think Ms. Taylor has just conceded that these attorney witnesses are going to be testifying about the scope of discovery rules. I don't think that that's appropriate. I think that Ms. Taylor can make those arguments to the court that having fact witnesses interpret the law is not appropriate in the discovery dispute. As to Ms. Vargas, our understanding was that there were 3 witnesses testifying today, and that was our understanding up until yesterday when we got into town. So we would ask that Ms. Vargas be excluded. And I would note that we made our objections to these witnesses clear when we asked the court to disregard the contents of their declarations in Mr. Nye's reply brief. Certainly, we're going to put that same objection on the record. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Well, a couple of things. I'm concerned about these opinions about sort of constitutional law or the procedures of discovery. I think that's fully capable for all of the counsel here, and me. Those are going to be my decisions. However, in reading through, and I have read through all of the declarations, pointing on specifically genetic genealogy and their experience with that within the law, I think does have some relevance, potentially. And I think that it would go to the weight of the consideration. The other thing that I am concerned about is this is a death penalty case. And if I deny particular presentations that one or the other side believe have.
We've hit the top of the hour, so we do have to squeeze in a break, but you won't miss a moment of the Kohberger hearing there in Latah County, Idaho. Don't.
All right, now I'm going to skip ahead since we are like 4 minutes behind now. I am going to skip ahead. Give me 1 second here. Okay, it should be popping up here. We are still in a minute delay. I want to make sure I maintain a minute delay just to respect Court TV. So I don't want to be live like they are, just a heads up for everybody.
That also helps cut down their commercials too.
Well, that, and, you know, I don't want to, you know, they are the ones that are providing this, and I totally want to respect them too. So,
oh yeah.
Whether I agree with what they're doing and I have to use my coffee cup, it is what it is. I can't believe that they're, I don't know, at least they're not zooming in.
Following several big stories for you, including Bryan Kohberger in court. Picks up several motions in the case against the man accused
Thank you,
of
everybody.
murdering 4 Idaho college students. Plus, the nationwide hunt to find this murder suspect before he strikes again. How a DNA match in another state is tied to the violent killing of a mom on a hiking trail. And
it's definitely a screw up. It's not the first one that they've had dealing with my case and other cases. It's just like due to negligence on their part. I feel like I'm not gonna say it's everything was purposely done, but it's just like a lot of incompetence in that police department.
the FedEx delivery driver speaks out after the sudden mistrial in the case against a father and son accused of chasing him down with guns. Welcome to Court TV Live. I'm Judge Ashley Wilcott. So honored to be with you. First, we turn to Idaho, where Bryan Kohberger is in court. We will take you back into the hearing in just a second. But when he walked in, our Court TV producer there on the ground says he gave an awkward, brief smile. Let's talk about what is expected today. Attorneys are set to argue 6 motions, 2 by the defense, 4 by the state. On the defense side, first, a request to compel the state to disclose DNA profiles. The defense will also try to halt court proceedings over potential procedural issues with the grand jury. Now, on the other side, for the state, the prosecutors will fight to protect information involved in the genetic genealogy investigation. They also have a motion to reconsider the order staying time for speedy trial. And they plan to take up a motion over the defense's alibi claim. That alibi? That Kohberger was out for a drive alone on the night of the murders. The question will be,
I love you
is
guys
that
too.
really an
Thank you.
alibi? It's important to note,
I appreciate
just for
you guys
your
so
viewing,
much.
the judge is not allowing a live stream of the hearing, but Court TV did just receive the first part of the hearing, and now we will be playing you the hearing in its entirety. As we get it in, we're going to bring it to you. Of course, now we'll pick it up right where we left off.
All right.
On the case, it's probably more wise for me to allow it, even if it might be on the edge, than not allowing that record. It's especially important in a case like this to have a record for appeal. So I'm not saying one way or the other how this might fall, but I think it's important to preserve the record. Now, however, I don't want to get into arguments about the law or what that exactly means. I think I have a pretty good understanding of what the issues are about the genetic genealogy issues and why the state wants to get more information about that. I also understand why the state believes that it has nothing to do with the case. And that's what I'm going to hear from today. And I think it's important to have both sides weigh in on this. Now, with regard to Ms. Vargas, she is here. I don't know where she came from, how far away. I'm inclined to just allow the state to come back and address that if we need to do that. Also, filing a brief objection, and I may decide to reject that. So that's where I landed on all of that. So I can deny the objections, remove them, and we shall proceed with hearing testimony. Now, if you get too far into this is what the law requires, maybe you can have objections. Okay?
Thank you.
So call your first witness.
Your Honor, I made one point of clarification. It occurred to me while listening to the court talking about genetic genealogy and really that being a focus. There are a couple of other areas contained in the motion to compel that have to do with the other DNA that the state doesn't have complete discoveries to us that are included in that third motion to compel that are up for today. But they focus has been the genetic.
Well, my understanding was that the state did provide all the information about the laboratory, we'll say the laboratory DNA that was, that analysis was not related to the genealogy DNA. Am I mistaken about that? What are you saying that it didn't provide to you?
Your Honor, in our third motion to compel, we had a section called Standard Lab Discovery, and that has two DNA profiles found at the scene. They have provided full discovery for the sheep, the DNA found on the neck sheep, but not the other 3 unidentified male DNA samples, 2 from within the house, 1 from outside the house.
All right. So if I'm understanding your question there, or your assertion that we're talking about 3 potential analysis of DNA that was not provided to you, but that has no connection to Mr. Kohberger.
Correct.
Okay, any response?
Your Honor, we didn't realize this was going to be an issue today. We had given the defense everything that we received from the lab.
Oh,
They've
my
asked
God.
for DNA workups on other people. To the extent that they don't have them, they weren't done. We can't produce something that doesn't exist. We provided everything. There's one outstanding lab report that relates to the forensic examination by the lab personnel of the crime scene itself. We received today. That's the only outstanding lab report. Everything else along all the notes is what there is and provided to the defense. They're hoping that there's something else there. It's not there.
Taylor?
Well, Your Honor, it's part of our third motion to compel. It's still something that we don't have. We also don't have the unexpected corrective actions, unexpected results from the Idaho State Police Forensics Lab for the 6 months before and the 6 months after November 13th, 2022. We did get some, but it's a narrow scope, and we asked for the full year, 6 months before and 6 months after. That's also in our motion.
Sure. I understand your responsibility is to turn over every rock, but you can't get things that don't exist as well. So, I mean, there has to be some level of trust in discovery. You're all sworn attorneys, and so Mr. Thompson is saying that there's one more lab report that is coming your way today, I heard you say.
Not, maybe not today. We were waiting to receive it so that we can process it for discovery. It's supposed to be in any time.
Okay, I misunderstood that, so it's coming soon. It has to come soon because we're 6 weeks away from the trial. So,
This is ridiculous.
very rushed about a lot of things. But,
Oh, very.
So what about the other claim, Mr. Thompson? Do you want to address that? The other mistakes?
Corrective action log or unexpected result log. We have that in part, but not the full scope.
I don't know what exists that we haven't received. We provided all the requests to the lab. And but I'm kind of sitting here saying, Judge was giving me everything we know to exist.
Well, that would be wise to check. We don't want this to come back on the eve of trial.
Yes, sir.
Or, 4 years from now at an appeal.
Yes, sir.
This is
So
ridiculous.
we want to make sure that we have combed through all the information that has any bearing or argument.
I'm about to go the fuck off.
On this case.
Me too. That's why I have myself muted.
I'm about to go the fuck
The
off.
sheriff is making a note right now. We'll send the inquiry out later today.
Okay.
What? How many times does a judge have to say get it together?
All emails, text messages,
And turn it over.
messages or other messages. Some have been provided, but we don't have assurance that that's all. And so for the same reason, we want to make sure that we have the complete puzzle.
Okay, Mr. Thompson.
We had told them.
Let's bring in our guest, Marie Pereira, defense attorney out of New York.
How about you don't, and let's continue to hear the bullshit that's coming out of their fucking mouth.
The judge,
I'm
every
sorry.
hearing, he's told them, turn it over, give it to them, turn it over. Like, how many times?
Oh, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous.
That's exactly the
This is-
behavior that's going to get their whole case thrown out.
These poor kids is damn right. These poor fucking kids. This is the fucking effort you give those victims, this investigation. This is the fucking effort you give these victims?
Mm-hmm. It is
They're lucky
disgusting.
I'm on YouTube, because if this was fucking without me being on a fucking microphone, I'd be, oh my gosh, I'd be, you gotta be fucking kidding me. This is
Oh,
your
man.
effort. This is what
Unreal.
you spent a freaking year doing. This is what you spent a year doing. And you got these kids back in freaking school. You got this fucking community coming up on an anniversary. And my gosh, I swear, if something fucking happens again, everybody should be losing their fucking jobs. Everybody. Clean fucking house. I almost want to say clean fucking house right now.
Yeah, if I were the judge, I would have lost my patience a long time ago.
Can you imagine what the family is fucking sitting through right now
I
listening to
wonder,
this
can he
shit?
sanction the attorneys and say, look, I told you to have this, to them by such and such a date. We're back in court again, and you're saying the same thing. If you don't have it by this date, sanctions. I'll hold you in contempt of court because they're disrespecting the court. He has told them to give it to the other side, and they haven't done it.
I'm trying to keep my composure.
Ah, that's why I'm sipping some scotch, y'all.
I'm really trying
Oh,
to keep
Bonnie
my
says they
composure.
can. They need to go ahead and do it then. I mean,
I can't
because this is
imagine the fucking
serious.
families. I can't imagine the families what they're these are the people that are supposed to be standing up for their loved ones where this horrific crime took place. These are the individuals that are supposed to be standing up for them.
I mean, this is like coming to class without your homework and you knew it was due, the next day. And you're
And then
like,
you're
oh,
trying to
I'm
tell the
sorry.
teacher trying to tell your
Yeah,
teacher the fucking dog ate your homework and shit.
yeah. And then they're like, okay, we'll have it tomorrow. And then tomorrow you have another flimsy excuse. This
Dude,
is
this is ridiculous.
ridiculous.
It is. It is. It is.
Joining us, Marie. Always love having you on. And this to me is real baseball. And what I mean.
Yeah, and the
Hold on
woman
there.
on the left here, she's a judge. The blonde, she's a
Yeah.
former judge, so I'm sure she's getting ready to have at it.
The DA
Okay. Oh,
used information to
hold on. Oh, it muted it
this is
instead.
allowed to
Shit.
that information,
I don't like
especially
him
like the
doing
judge
that. I
says,
don't
this
like
is
him
a death
doing that.
penalty case where
Gosh.
4 lives
Respect
were
the
lost.
freaking
So
judge,
why
Court
play
TV.
around with just that spirit of litigation
They're
and
pissing
not
me
give
off
up
too.
discovery where you used it and they want to be able to have access to what you used to get to your point of proving what you're trying to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. I think that the
Jeez, I can't imagine.
DA needs to stop with the argument.
Tonight at 8/7 Central, only on Court.
Steve G, please. I don't want to disrespect you by trying to interrupt your life and anything that you got going because the last thing you need is another fucking message because I'm sure you get a shit ton. If there's anybody that's in contact or if dude, if you want to reach out to me, uh, and you want, look, let's talk. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I ain't gonna ask you nothing that's gonna, put you in trouble or nothing. But damn, dude, I'm just gonna ask you some shit as a parent, yo. That's it.
TV.
These are the cases.
He's already prepared. You can tell from what he said a long time ago. They're already prepared to go after this civilly. You know what I mean?
They shouldn't have to.
They shouldn't have to, but don't you remember, like a long time ago, they made sure that they still had those rights.
Gosh, this is crazy.
Because he must have realized how messy law enforcement has been and everything with this whole thing. And they're not being above board about things.
I just.
This is crazy.
It's disturbing. It's disturbing as fuck. Like
Yep.
I was shaking. Like that's how upset I was. Like listening to this shit, especially when Mr. Thompson wants to keep standing up. Dude, why are you fucking sitting back there if you're gonna keep standing up? Why don't you just get the
Because he's
fuck up
about
and
ready to retire.
I mean, gosh.
He's out after this. He doesn't really care.
Then sit, and then you.
Yeah, and Bonnie, I was talking about the same thing earlier. In the O.J. Simpson case, the families had to go after him civilly.
This is not. No, this is 2000 fucking 23, man.
No, he doesn't care. And who was it? Lanier. Lanier did the one press conference and then he retired or whatever. He
Right.
doesn't care. Fry is shady. Some of the other police officers are shady. There's all kinds of other stuff going on behind the scenes.
This
I'm
is
telling
horrible.
you, they're gonna mess this up, and this is just gonna be, permanently open for investigation, but not being investigated, just like Kylie Rodney.
And with that in mind, you know, because I've always said there's even things that point to his guilt. And if this person had something to do with this damn crime, BK, and this dude gets off because of some shit like this, it's already hard enough that the victims are being treated this way with the bullshit effort. Instead of giving 150, which they should, they're giving 50,
Hmm.
you know?
Shoot, 50 is being generous. I mean, let's be
And
real.
and that's what you're giving the victims, the family, the community, the everybody that deals with the justice system. This is everybody. This is you and me.
Y'all, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to breathe right now.
And you can arrest somebody, you can apprehend somebody the way that you apprehended them. You off of this?
Yeah. I mean, even if it wasn't him, they are not going to put any energy into finding out who it was. Because I didn't put any energy into this. Losing notes and losing autopsy reports, and like you said, police officers being in an autopsy, and turning off body cams, and not logging reports, police reports for different things, and just all, it's like it's full of
You
questionable actions.
It's more salt in the fucking wound. That's what they're doing. It's all of this throwing salt on your damn wound and just digging in until they're getting caught. Oh, sorry. What the hell, man? And these families, dude, seriously, I know I'm fucking nobody, but dude, if anybody or if they're watching, please, I would love to have a conversation just from a dad to a dad. You know what I mean? When it comes to this shit, we don't even have to talk about. I'm not asking about details. I'm not asking, about facts of the case and shit like that. I'm not going to ask. I'm going to just from a dad to a dad, like, how do you fucking feel?
I mean, he's upset. The man is just
I
livid.
know, but damn. That
Oh, is she
how do you
coming back?
talk to
Oh,
somebody?
okay.
How do you talk to somebody? Like I don't know. It's just here we go. Let's see. There
Yep,
should be.
Lulu, sloppy. Yep, lazy.
This is
Exactly.
Is set to begin on October 2nd in the murders of
yeah.
4
We'll see.
University of Idaho college students. They were found stabbed to death in a home near campus in November of last year. First witness on the stand, Stephen Mercer, an attorney with a specialty in DNA. Let's go back in.
We've asked the lab provided it to us, we sent it to them. At this point, all I'm hearing is speculation. They think maybe or they wish something else was there.
Okay, I gotta fucking pause this again. They're
I hear
reading
ya.
from the same script, aren't they? Again, Judge, this is speculation. You know what? There's gonna be a speculation part 2 because I made a highlight a fucking long time ago about prosecution saying Ann Taylor speaking pure speculation. Oh yeah, there's gonna be a part 2 coming up, motherfucker. What the hell?
Into that motions hearing for quadruple murder
Part
suspect
2.
Bryan Kohberger. As of now, his trial is set to begin on October 2nd in the murders of 4 University of Idaho college students. They were found stabbed to death in a home near campus in November of last year. First witness on the stand, Stephen Mercer, an attorney with a specialty in DNA. Let's go back in.
We've asked the lab provided it to us, we sent it to them. At this point, all I'm hearing is speculation. They think maybe or they wish something else was there. But as far as we know, it doesn't exist. I don't know what else we can say. You can't respond to something that isn't real. Sorry, Judge.
I mean, we're just sorting it out.
Yes, sir.
Making sure that everything that there is shared. Except for the ones that you don't want to.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
And that's one of the reasons we're here.
We'll make an additional inquiry to the lab to see if there's anything else in the form of emails that they haven't already provided to us.
I would
They
add,
should have done that a long time ago.
There are times, okay, in the world of the law, that sometimes people forget to do things, or sometimes things fall through the cracks, and so it's always healthy to make sure that it is done thoroughly.
Absolutely. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
You're already called Steve Mercer.
Okay. Are your just going on a phone? Are your experts in the courtroom right now?
Yeah.
Do they need to be in the courtroom?
Your Honor, I asked that they be allowed to remain in the courtroom, seated where they are, so they're just kind of alone.
Right. Any objection to that? I don't know who to point to here.
Sure, we also have the witnesses excluded.
I'm going to excuse.
I just got to pause this real quick. They're using this case for fucking training?
Wait, what?
He's okay. Look at this.
Are you talking about his second chair?
I'm talking about Bill Thompson. To me, it looks like he's fucking training the people that are replacing his ass, and this is the case that you're fucking using?
Told you he was on his way out. And he's got the baby lawyer over there on the left, the blonde with her hair up.
Yeah, I didn't see her last time.
No,
And
it
I
was
didn't
the
see
other
him
chick
last
that
time.
looked really young
Yeah,
the last
brown-haired
time.
chick,
With her
and
hair
then
down.
Thompson
Yeah.
sat on the left. Yeah. Now these two people, I've never seen him, and yeah, I know he's about to retire. You're telling me this is the only fucking case that you're gonna use? Are you? No, I'm just assuming, and everybody can be an ass when you assume. I understand that, and I could definitely be an ass. I'm not perfect and I have flaws, but I'm just looking at it, and to me, it's looking like a fucking training exercise. Are you fucking serious? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Exclude your witnesses so they're not hearing what the other witnesses are testifying by, and that'll be, I think, a cleaner, more accurate response. So then I don't want to have them reacting to the other testimony. We'll hear each testimony, each witness's testimony be independent. Okay, so could you please have your other experts excluded from the court?
Where would the court like them to go? This is a media intensive environment, and I don't want them to be bothered by the media walk away from
The law library.
the media.
Sure. Thank you. Sorry, Mr. Mercer.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Taylor. Okay, Mr. Mercer, hang on. Please raise your right hand. Hey, yeah, please.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you give in this case shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under penalty of perjury?
I do. Thank you, Mr. Mercer. Go ahead and get some water there. I'll take care of that. And once you're seated, would you please state your name and spell your last. Yes, my name is Stephen with a PH Mercer, Mercer. All right, thank you, sir. Okay, Ms. Taylor.
Good morning, Mr. Mercer.
Good morning.
What city and state are you from?
Rockville, Maryland.
What do you do for work?
I am a licensed attorney in Maryland in the District of Columbia in the field of criminal defense with area of specialization in DNA and forensic litigation.
How long have you been an attorney?
I was licensed in the state of Maryland in 1995 and in the District of Columbia in 1997. I'm also a member of several federal bars, including the Supreme Court, where I appeared as co-counsel in Maryland v. King, a DNA database case from 2013, as well as the Fourth Circuit law review about shadow DNA database with a co-author, Jessica Grable, and those are the principal articles with respect to forensic DNA.
And I think you mentioned a couple of professional organizations that you belong to. Are there others?
Yes, so I'm a member of the jurisprudential section of the American Academy of Forensic Sciences, and I've given presentations there. For example, in 2018, I gave a presentation on proposed regulation of the field of forensic genealogy. And then I'm also a member of the National Criminal Defense Attorneys Association and a number of local bar associations in Maryland, as well as the State Bar Association.
You mentioned forensic genetic genealogy just now. Can you tell me your background in relation to that?
So following really the advent of forensic genealogy in 2018, that is when I had the opportunity to litigate cases, criminal cases involving that technique, the testing and the investigation related to the testing, and to receive discovery of the testing and the interpretation of the test results that were obtained through searching of genetic database.
You are here on Bryan Kohberger. How did you become involved in?
Yeah, so the question was, what would a reasonable defense attorney do when confronted with DNA evidence that needs to be litigated? What are the minimum practice standards? So I'm not here to...
All right, this is all about DNA evidence and what the defense needs to do with that evidence. And remember, this is something we're going to hear testimony come up about, the importance of all of this, given this is a capital case. They're seeking the death penalty. Stay tuned. We'll get you back into this witness's testimony.
A man married 6 times. 4 of his wives died.
All right, I'm just going to let it play. We're only not even a minute on delay, so I'm just going to let it sit here and play in the background. In the meantime, I'm going to commentate for a minute. I know what the hell I'll try and end tonight's show with a little bit of games, okay? But tonight's show, because I'm only going to be making this 7 to 8 hour show, and we just hit the 7-hour mark. I'm still coming back tonight. I'm going to promise that we're going to try and end the show with some games. Remind me, please. I'm going to be focused on this shit. Tonight's show, we're going to be going through the previous hearing. We're going to be going through this hearing because I think both of them are going to say a lot of shit. And I'd like to go into the background. Let's do some research on Stephen Mercer, and let's like Dolphin, No Chains. Let's check credentials, and that's what we're going to be going into tonight. Prior hearing, this hearing, and Stephen Mercer credentials. Okay, so if you guys are available tonight, I'd love to have you back.
I'm on this all night.
Yeah, I'm gonna make the live for I'm gonna make it for 6:30 Central, 7:30 Eastern. Okay. And if we go late night, it is what it is. I'll do another freaking 6, 7 hours. I don't care. This shit's ridiculous, and and we need to go through this all. Or I do anyway. And if you guys want to be around, I totally appreciate it. And thank you all for hanging out with me today, as we're kind of brainstorming and going through all this stuff. I definitely appreciate your company, and it definitely makes me know that if I do and when I do, I'm able to do this Monday through Friday daytime stuff, that I know that you guys will be there. So I appreciate that so much. It means a lot to me. And
Oh,
thank you,
yeah,
Dolphin.
absolutely. No problem. You're welcome.
No chains, everybody. Really, I appreciate you guys. There's a lot of people out there at the same time, and you guys are hanging with me, and that means a lot to me. So I appreciate it. Yeah, we're going to be doing a members only tomorrow night too. I still need to put out a community post. Sigma Chi episode part 2,
Oh, I
or
can't wait for that.
or Jeffrey Epstein. So I'm going to let you guys decide. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate that, bro. And he'll be joining us on panel when we have Long Island SK next time. I can't wait to have him up on panel for that. I'm sorry, like I expected some dumb shit. I'm gonna be honest. I expected some dumb shit just the way everything went down before.
Hmm.
This is the next fucking level dumb shit right here. This is so disrespectful
It
to these
is.
victims and the families in the
Hmm.
community, and us too,
And I
that this
mean,
shit can
to the
take place.
court too, because it's like
Yeah,
your attorneys, he told you, what, almost 2 months ago to have this together? And like now, almost 2 months later, you're still like, oh, I'm going to look into that, Your Honor. Like, really?
right. We're not exactly sure when we can have that for you, and we're just going to respond with, "This is speculation, Your Honor."
Or we're not sure those other DNA, unidentified DNA, are relevant. How are
Right.
you like really going
Uh,
to say that?
yeah,
You
I don't
know,
know. We
and
didn't
it
test
was near the
it.
bodies. Like,
Yeah,
really?
we didn't test it. So how can we really supply information that we don't really have, Your Honor? We never tested them. We never tested them. Oh, we're gonna have fun tonight. Trust me. I'm gonna start off with the prior hearing because I'm telling you, we have to watch the prior to then watch this one, and then after that we'll be going into the Stephen Mercer stuff. It might be a late night, because this is yeah, there's gonna be a lot of stuff to say. And I'm glad that I'm gonna wait until later to like do the analyzing shit of it, because right now it's probably not a good time. I'm just being honest. It probably wouldn't be a
Yeah.
good time.
What about the Twitter updates? Has anything else come in?
I don't know.
Is
I
it
have
just
not.
still this
I have
DNA?
not. I don't know. If you guys want to check, please do. And then I'm definitely making another highlight on the Tonight Show when it comes
Oh.
to part 2, because this is ridiculous. I'm gonna play my first one that I made from a while back just for fun after this is over.
Oh, I
This,
see one. 22 minutes ago, it
yeah,
says they cut it off right when it was getting good, but Bill Thompson getting frustrated here. And
yeah.
the clip under it says defense argues discovery issues from Court TV.
Mm, I'm sure. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys coming. And we'll be back at 7:30 Eastern tonight. We're gonna be going through this shit, and we might be late nighting it. So if you're available, I'm gonna be doing it. I got plenty of K cups. Thank you, Lulu. And we're good to go. I'm just gonna need a little nap in between each show, because even though I'm just sitting here chit chatting, it is exhausting. Trust me.
Okay, because
Yeah.
Mr.
They
Kohberger
said
is
Fry is
standing
there in the
silent,
courtroom too.
I'm going to enter not guilty pleas on each
Oh,
charge.
this is old. Uh, Fry's in the courtroom too, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
And said Brian left the courtroom on a break 53 minutes ago.
He is facing 4 first-degree murder charges and a felony burglary charge in the deaths of 4 Idaho college students. Let's get you right back into court for today's motions hearing,
This
which is
is
happening
so.
inside the Latah County Courthouse.
The
You see
families.
right here, there's a picture of it, and on the stand, the defense witness, the first witness of the day, Stephen Mercer, who's a licensed attorney in the field of criminal defense, specializing in DNA.
You guys are so awesome.
Or offer legal opinions about constitutional standards. Rather, my area of focus is based on my experience, training, and expertise in forensic DNA litigation, and what a minimum practice standard would be for a reasonably competent trial attorney who must comply with their duty to investigate the case on behalf of their client.
And is that because of what you get when you get genetic genealogy materials?
Well, yes. I mean, forensic evidence is central on a case, and DNA evidence in particular. And so when there's an item...
We're good. We got this.
Here of an environmental sample of trace DNA evidence that, as I understand it from reviewing the pleadings, was twice tested, first for an STR profile, and then later for a genomic profile. The question becomes, what is the minimum practice standard for an attorney to be effective in their representation of a client given that type of evidence?
When you're talking about 2 samples happening, or 2 tests happening, why should an attorney know about that?
Well, there are a number of reasons why it's crucial for the attorney to investigate any testing of evidence that is central to a case. And again, here it's an environmental sample of trace DNA that is being tested. And so it's essential for the attorney to know, for a number of reasons, about the details of the testing and the investigation when we're talking specifically about forensic genealogy. Number one is there's pretrial concerns. And those pretrial concerns that can be raised would involve suppression issues and potentially Fourth Amendment issues. These are questions that are very much evolving in the state of our litigation. But to understand the viability of a Fourth Amendment challenge, there has to be a factual investigation. There has to be a determination of the conduct that law enforcement undertook during the forensic analysis of the genealogy. So, for example, was it fast and loose? Was there searching of data banks that violated the terms and conditions of those data banks? Was there surreptitious DNA collection from individuals, targeted individuals in family trees? So these are very fact-specific inquiries that the attorney must know in formulating a suppression challenge under the Fourth Amendment, because it's all about reasonable expectations of privacy. And what's really critical here is to understand, and this is close to me from my litigation, early on, the government and law enforcement's argument was always there are minimal privacy interests at stake because forensic DNA profile is like a fingerprint. And it says nothing about who the person is. But now with forensic genealogy, we're talking about genomic profiles, potentially whole genomic profiles, or at the very least a SNP profile, single nucleotide polymorphism profile, single nucleotide polymorphism, an SNP profile that contains a vast amount of information that is very, very private. And so this is a real game changer in the privacy interests that are at stake, and that the attorney needs to understand in investigating the case to assess and to evaluate that suppression issue, that Fourth Amendment issue. So that's one issue pre-trial. There's also concerns about reliability. By reliability, I'm not talking necessarily about the forensic genomic profile, but I'm talking about the STR profile. And again, because as I understand it from the pleadings, there were multiple tests on the same evidence, environmental sample and trace DNA. One produced a STR profile that I understand from the pleadings is represented as being a single source male profile. The reliability of that needs to be investigated, and certainly through one aspect of that is investigating the laboratory documentation that is provided for the STR testing. But we also have to appreciate, and again, I'm not a DNA scientist or a biologist, but I'm an attorney that works with experts, and I need to know what type of expert to hire. And one thing that I do realize in looking at this is when there's multiple tests of the same piece of evidence, and you have a genomic profile, in other words, potentially the entire human genome that is typed from this environmental sample trace DNA, or at least an SNP profile, which is somewhere in the neighborhood of 700,000 locations of data. What does that tell us
Right.
about the STR profile markers? So, for example, STR
For sure.
profile markers, which are typed, are 20 out of 30,000 STR markers overall.
And I want to say thank you so much, Good Vibes Stacy, for the 9.99 super chat. Thanks, CJ and Dolphin. Thank you, Dolphin, again as well.
Oh, you're welcome.
Hopefully tonight, when this episode ends up on YouTube, hopefully it's got better audio, or it'll allow closed captioning, because I think because the audio is so muffled, that's why closed captioning isn't showing up. I hope it. I don't know. So if you all are out there and before the show tonight, if you guys notice a version that has better audio, please send it to me. I would totally appreciate that. I'm not gonna really. I'm gonna take a nap in between the show, and then kind of do some things around the house real quick, and then I really won't have that much time to prep. So if you do come across one, please send it to me. I totally appreciate it. And then I'm going to be back on here in just a couple hours. Um, I I would like to. I don't know. I feel like I'm having a hard time hearing some stuff, and I'm kind of losing some focus on it. And I'm wondering if I really would like to have like closed captioning or something where I can really focus on the specific words, or if anybody's, I don't know, would there be a transcript of some sort maybe that would be available? Is that, does that even exist? Um, or if somebody wants to study this part and can kind of give an explanation. Some parts I'm just having a hard time hearing it. I don't know if it's just me.
I don't even know why I typed that to you.
What?
I was muted and I was like, oh, maybe on the video itself. I forgot I was up on the panel. I'm
Yeah, it
sorry. I'm
happened.
just so like,
No,
ugh, right now.
let's see here. No, I have closed captioning on. Maybe on YouTube's version, because I know with Twitter, this is how we're able to get it right away is because of Twitter. When it comes to YouTube, hopefully it'll be cleaned up, and if it's not, then hopefully it does have the closed captioning. I think it's just because it did have it a little bit ago. I think just right here is where the audio is just really messed. It's not good, so it's having a hard time picking it up.
And so what I would be investigating with a qualified expert is, number one, and I don't know from the pleadings if there's a whole genome profile that's been developed for the forensic genealogy, but if there is, that should contain STR markers. What does that tell us about the reliability of the STR testing? Is there any potential for artifacts? Is there any potential for an undetected low-level mixture? those types of questions that are potentially available to inquire and ask about, where you have multiple tests for the same piece of evidence, and it's an environmental sample of trace DNA. Now, if it's just an SNP profile, I say just, but that's 700,000 locations of information that is like a probabilistic future diary of someone's health, medical, and all manner of conditions that are linked to genetics. That may not have the STR markers in it itself, but it will have information, SNP markers in the neighborhood of, so to speak, of STR markers that will also shed light potentially on those STR markers and the reliability of those STR markers. So these are, particularly in a capital case, crucial areas of inquiry that must be undertaken by the defense team in conjunction with experts that they retain. But they can't even decide what experts to retain without having the discovery. And that's the minimum practice standard. And that's a point that I've made in testimony before courts where I've been accepted as an expert in Maryland, D.C., and Virginia, that the minimum practice standard is that the attorney must obtain discovery of the scientific testing of an evidence sample. And that, particularly so in the capital case, and particularly where we're talking about an environmental sample of trace DNA, it's absolutely crucial to get that discovery, because then that informs the scope of the investigation, the experts to hire, and what have you.
Wow. He just said it right there. That discovery has to be available so you can know what experts you need to have on the stand. So where's the discovery? I don't know if we necessarily, I mean, we can dig into the credentials. I think going into this, I think this is, I honestly, I don't know. Let me know what you think. Should we save it for the end? Because I'm really thinking about analyzing this first. Because this right here, he's telling you right there, the discovery needs to be available.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, of course it does, because like you just said, they, the defense, doesn't know what types of experts they need to call to, dispute the discovery or whatever, dispute the evidence, So,
Right.
yeah. Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
It's like saying, oh, suspect vehicle 1 was a car. Well,
Right.
what type of car?
Right.
What year,
Yeah.
what make, what model, You need the details.
Let me see here. My bad. It was on half down because when they talk in between the court, then it actually is like super freaking loud. My bad. I forgot to turn it back up.
Now, also with respect to the forensic genealogy,
But I was kind of looking more towards like the closed captioning, and I think it's because of the shit audio.
it's important not to separate this out into all these different components.
So this is really interesting. This defense witness is basically saying to the judge, listen, these are the things you have to decide in these pretrial motions and what you're going to allow in and not on the DNA, because if you don't, it could be appealed, it could be overturned. Here's a standard of practice, judge, that you should follow. Stay tuned. We're going to get you right back into court on the other side of a short break, right where we're leaving off.
Fantastic.
Tonight on Closing Arguments, key takeaways from today's hearing in the Idaho college student murders case. Attorneys arguing several issues, including the defendant.
Oh, they always have commercials. Fantastic.
STR profile has no relatives. And in fact, in a case involving forensic genealogy, the way that the defendant is identified is by searching a pool of related people. And so we need to be able to investigate and evaluate the rarity of a profile within a related population. And that's a different question than what the government answers with its random person not excluded statistic that is typically used. And so, again, without the discovery of the forensic genealogy, both the testing as well as the experiments that are done with the test results, i.e. the database searches, as well as the family tree build out, the attorney can't investigate that. And in that situation, by not investigating it, is not complying with their duty to investigate that is required, especially in a capital case.
I've heard you say that when you have a sample, in this case, a DNA sample from a knife.
See, I can't understand this shit.
And then when you have genetic genealogy testing, you end up with whole genome testing or an SNP profile. Did I understand that?
Yes, and it's unclear to me at this point what type of genomic profile was developed, whether it was a whole genome sequence or whether it was an SNP profile, which contains about 700,000 locations of very personal, private information.
I think I heard you say that no matter which one of those were done for genetic genealogy, that you need to look at those to test the reliability of the STR.
I'll be right back. Somebody's at my door.
Okay. Yeah, so this is as an attorney and not a scientist, but as an attorney who has a duty to investigate.
Frickin' court TV,
this
yo.
now is an area where the attorney will look to retain a qualified expert who can evaluate and assess the linkages between an SNP profile or a whole genomic profile and an STR profile. To be sure, an SNP profile or forensic genomic profile can't be searched in CODIS. It's not that type of situation. They can't be directly compared. But there are techniques that can evaluate if it is a whole genomic profile, you would look to a scientist who then would be evaluate the reliability of the SDR profile, the potential for any mixture, the potential for any artifacts in the SDR profile. Or if it's an SNP profile which doesn't have the SDR locations in it, then you would look for an expert who understands that the neighboring regions around where the STR markers can be evaluated and assessed to provide information about what the STR markers would be.
Can I clarify something? Sure. So what you're saying is that you need to look at the qualified.
All right, here's what I think the point of this is. The genealogy was used, we know, in order to investigate and point to the suspect of Bryan Kohberger. Now, this expert saying, listen, how that family tree was developed, how that genealogy was used is something that we have to really do a deep dive on in order to afford him a proper defense. What is going to happen next? We're going to hit the pause button. Michael Ayala is joining me for the rest of the Kohberger motions hearing. Plus, we'll have insight from
This is fucking bombshell. And I'm not a minute behind, so I'm just gonna mute the audio. This is freaking bombshell. This is crazy. I don't know. I have closed captioning turned on. That's why I'm hoping when we go over it and analyze it tonight, when we get it on YouTube, because right now we're on Twitter's version. When we get it on YouTube, that's when I'm hoping that the closed captioning will show up a lot better. Oh, man, this is crazy. And I really do think that we're going to go into this testimony first. Yeah, I think we really need to go into this testimony first. So like I said, go ahead and send me info if you want. I may have duplicates. It doesn't matter. I may miss something. So If you have anything, please send it to me. I'll go ahead and throw the socials up there. More than welcome. Even if I have doubles, it's fine. All right, so we're just going to be on a commercial break here. And then once it comes back, I'll go ahead and switch the screen. And let me get back to chat. Thank you for hanging out. Yeah, we're at the 7-hour, 30-minute mark. We'll be going for 8 hours today. Because, if I'm putting in 8 hours at the real place, then if I'm not at the real place, then I need to be putting in 8 hours here. And I'll be doing more tonight. So, like I said, 150. So we will be back tonight. We're going to be analyzing this testimony. We're going to be going through the hearing before this one and this hearing as well in order. And if it's a late night, it's a late night. So it is what it is. And please remind me, if you guys want to play games at the end of the show, please remind me, because I probably will be so focused on all this other stuff, I will lose track. If you don't mind, please remind me if you do want to play some games, Deal or No Deal or something. And Sunday night, we'll be having our normal game show. Sunday morning, I'll be doing sports. Saturday night will be members only. And I might even do a live tomorrow morning for most of the day, because I don't think tonight is going to be the end of the conversation or topic. I think it's going to be a topic for many days to come. Yeah, right. Where's the paperwork? We went through those other, we went through the CC more. I wish I could remember what the video was. We went through like a few days ago or a week ago, when it comes to the genetic genealogy and how they obtain it, how they, the process, the study, how they get to where they're going, because of all of the multiple things that take place. And then you have this testimony here. That's a show in itself right there. Seriously. Yes, it is. I don't know. I think it might be, Kelly. It might be. And honestly, I could literally go probably another 8, but I'm going to take a small nap. I'm going to eat some food. And then I'm going to do a couple things around the house, dishes, load of laundry. And then, I'll be right back. I'll probably just have a few minutes before the show. So if you guys have any links, please send them to me. I definitely appreciate it. So I'm looking for the prior hearing, this hearing on Court TV, if you're able to send them. And we'll be going through all that. Yes, yes.
So what happened?
Now it's they're just taking a break real quick.
Oh, okay.
Latah County Coroner confirmed the identity of the 4 victims. Cause and manner of death was homicide by stabbing. These tragic murders took 4 young, vibrant lives from our community. Nothing.
This is the recap.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and is it Wake in Yantanka?
Yeah. What's up? Mental health, yeah, and a mental health break too. Just get some peace and relax, because this stuff is, I don't know. I'm definitely upset that this is how the victims and the families are being treated with the effort of the people that are supposed to protect them. Not happy.
Yay!
It sucks. I hate when they do that because I'm not ready. I'm not ready for that, Stupid coffee cup. I'm just going to keep it up. Since they're going to do that shit to me, I'll just keep it up until I know that they're not. Because I don't like that. Every time they're always cutting in a quick clip that's got a zoom of him smiling and shit. What the fuck are they trying to do, What are you trying to do, Court TV?
S&P profile to compare it to the SPP profile for the reliability of the SPP profile. The STR profile. STR. Yeah, so there could be clues, absolutely, that could be discerned from an analysis of the SMP or whole genomic profile. because again, we're talking about two different tests of the same piece of evidence. And there have been, in peer-reviewed publication, I mean, one that comes to mind is Jae-Wah Kim, who published in the journal Cell about how an SNP profile can be linked to its STR profile. And that's by zeroing in on sort of the neighboring regions and examining those. So again, I'm not a biologist or a scientist, but I'm an attorney, who has a duty to investigate, and to investigate requires hiring experts to examine this data, this discovery that hasn't been released yet. And so that's why the minimum practice standard is to get that discovery, so that the attorney can then assess that discovery and then retain a qualified scientist to help understand the extent to which the SNP testing will shed light on the reliability of the STR testing that has already been done in the sanctions studies.
Okay, so having that profile on the SNP can verify the legitimacy of the STR.
Right, so that's my hypothesis. That's what I go to the expert to inquire about. Because again, this is a very much an emerging area of forensic science and litigation.
Sure.
And yes,
I'm going to accept it, and I don't believe that this witness is qualified to opine on what's needed in these scientific processes. He just indicated that it was.
See, these are the parts that I had a hard time hearing, and I got the volume on full. These are the parts I'm having a hard time hearing. Why I wish I had frickin' closed captioning. I hope the Court TV YouTube version has closed captioning. Fingers crossed, because I cannot hear the defense or the prosecution very well at all. And I need to hear their words when it comes to these specific questions. They just stopped him. Prosecution just stopped him. What the hell?
Personal hypothesis. I would remove my objection on it.
Well, I'm going to overrule that because I asked some questions. I apologize. Go ahead, ask your next question.
When I'm talking about either the whole genome or the SNP profile, am I looking for just like a sheet of paper that has a bunch of numbers on it, or is there a packet of information that I need to go to my expert?
no, you need the raw data of the profile along with, it's similar to the sort of data that you obtain for the SDR test. You get the raw data of the profile, you get the laboratory protocols, you get all the bench.
Explain why you say they go together, why I need both.
Oh, well, the SNP profile is what is searched in the banks to then identify potential relatives. And then family trees are built out. That's the object of the SNP testing. What's important to know from a defense perspective in terms of trial work and potential areas of cross-examination, is normally going to be introducing a statistic that is premised on the assumption of an unrelated universe of people. So what's the chance of finding a profile in a population where there's no relatedness between that profile and anyone in that universe? And so, as you know from talking about this whole concept of friendship genealogy, people who are related have similar DNA. And so the statistics change when you are talking about the chance of finding a profile within a related pool or related universe of individuals. And that's a legitimate area of inquiry on cross-examination for the defense to demonstrate the limitations of the statistical questions that the state is presenting to its expert witness. And to do that, you need to know, for example, who the population of related people are, who, because often from my work on the forensic genealogy, what I've seen is that when a match is found, when the STR match is found, then all building out, all further testing stops on the forensic genealogy side. And so it's important to know who hasn't been tested on the related person side in terms of developing cross-examination about the limitations of the statistical tool that the state uses in its case to demonstrate the rarity of the match that you're presenting.
Have you received genetic genealogy materials in your case of intent?
Yes, so which wasn't surprising to me because even though typically the government doesn't seek to introduce the forensic genealogy, in its case, it nevertheless is evidence that is a scientific test of material in the case. And so the discovery rules typically call, for example, in Maryland, in the District of Columbia, call for discovery of scientific testing.
Well, if it's going to be another hour, I'm here until this is done. I'm here till this is done. And if we have to separate different things for tonight because it won't fit, that's fine. But you know what? My plan was 7 to 8 hours. If I have to go 9, hey, I'm down to do it. I want to make sure that I cover all this in one episode, and then we can dissect the rest. Time permitting. So no chains. I don't know if you're busy. If you'd like to hop back up, please do. And let me see. We'll put that out there. Yeah, I'm gonna be here until it's done. So thank you for letting us know kind of what to expect. I appreciate that. Seriously, for me too, because I can, while I'm listening to this, I can go make another K cup while I turn the volume up on my mute. I can do different things. So thank you. I appreciate that. That helps me kind of make the process go a little smoother. So thank you.
Of evidence in a case, and that's regardless of whether the government is going to introduce it or not. DC is a little different, where it requires either a materiality showing or that the item is introduced into evidence. And so even if there's a limitation on the item being introduced into evidence, that really goes to the item tested, which here is the environmental sample of trace DNA. And of course, the government has twice tested it. And so for the attorney to be able to fulfill their duty to investigate and satisfy the minimum practice standards, they should have access to the scientific testing of that item of evidence, which is central to the case.
Just 1 minute. Mr. Mercer, I don't have any other questions. I'm going to hang on just a minute. Trust me.
Got him.
Your Honor, I have no questions for this witness. Mr. Knight will be making our arguments.
Okay, thank you. Okay, may this witness be excused.
Let's welcome in at this time in Arizona, former criminal defense attorney who represented Jodi Arias, Kirk Nurmi. Kirk, always great to have you on. Thank you for joining us. This is interesting to me because here's what's happening is the defense is saying he's an expert defense attorney, specialty in DNA. And Judge, we need you to hear his testimony and we want you to agree.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and mute it. I'll keep an eye on it in the background and I'll bring it back up when they get back to the hearing. It sounds to me like this guy is, pretty much letting everybody know what CC Moore, that other video I was talking about. Hopefully, I have enough time to figure out what video that was, because I would like to get into that tonight while we get into this testimony stuff. Because I do want to get into this first, this part of the hearing. I really need to try and find that video. But I think the CC Moore, that video, and what this gentleman is saying, it's pretty much saying, to me, in my opinion, prosecution, why are you not handing this stuff over? Why is there no reports or anything written down? In order to acquire these profiles, the tests that you have to run, the amount of times that you have to run them, the things that you do when you're running these tests, you're putting patches in a tire that has holes in it. So you're patching it. You're patching frickin' tires to create the profile because you don't have the complete strand. You're manipulating. That's why it's a cold case lab. You have to manipulate the DNA in order to obtain the profile. You have to have a shit ton of work because you go off of the work to be able to determine the DNA profile. So how do you not have the work?
Their tires are duct taped. Yeah. Oh, thank you. I needed
For
that
real though.
laugh.
For real. Like if the profile is a tire, a DNA profile is a tire, it's got holes all over it. That's why it's sent to a cold case lab. You have to put patches in it to be able to make it what the profile is supposed to be. This is how do you even think that you can walk in that damn courtroom and expect anybody to fucking believe you? Other
Because
than,
that's what you're used to. You're used
I
to
don't
just,
know.
half-ass stuff or whatever. Nobody holding your feet to the fire. They've been getting away with a lot of stuff. This behavior right here is proof that they've been getting away with a lot of stuff. They can just fill out some paperwork, not fill out paperwork, sign something really quick, whatever, and they've just been, coasting. You know? They haven't had to really show up.
Either that or there's a bigger investigation that's
Oh
not
yeah.
allowing them to have all their information. That's the only
Oh.
thing I can fucking think of. That's it. It's either that or that. I don't know. I
What,
just
like you
can't
think the
see
FBI is holding back?
somebody. Might be. I just I can't see how in 2023. I mean, even if right, even if that's the tactics that you use, the shady ass shit. There's a whole bunch of it. I don't see. I don't know. I just
Yeah, see, Chelly has a
it
point. Yeah, this time the
something
whole
just don't
world
make
is
sense.
watching.
Yeah, something just don't make sense. I don't see how a prosecution can be this ill prepared and expect everybody to believe that the dog ate the homework. I just how can you expect people to be this gullible this day and age? I just don't understand it. That's why it doesn't make sense to me.
But you see that they're blaming it on LE.
Of
So
course, of
LE
course.
does the investigation. Then they're supposed to turn
Yeah.
everything over to the prosecutors, right? So now prosecutors, they've been sitting in court saying, oh, well, we'll have to check. We'll have to get that from them or whatever. They should have already had all of
Yeah.
that, you
It's
know?
somebody else's fault. It's always somebody else's fault because you know what that does? That buys you more time. And you're just trying to buy more time until you get to the trial. You don't want to have these fucking hearings if you're the prosecution. As far as you're concerned, you want to have as much time as you can to piece whatever you want to piece together, and then you want to have it. But unfortunately, the defense is like, no, game fucking on, bro. Game fucking on. And now they're scattering. I don't know. Something don't make it. I can't see how they can literally think that they would be on a national level. It's been at a national level since the crime first took place, and within a week, so many people were talking about this case, even on YouTube, right? So they knew it was a national
Mhm.
thing right off the bat. That was a month and a half before the PCA was was used to arrest BK. Like, you already knew this was national. I don't understand. I don't see how a prosecution can then think that 8 months, 7 months down the road that people are gonna believe that BS. It's gotta be something else. It's something else. It can't just be the normal shady shit that always went down, because I think the normal shady shit that always went down isn't to the extreme that it is right now. I think the normal shady shit is going overtime with this case,
Oh
and
yeah.
I don't understand why.
They
So
underestimated that people would still be as interested 9 months down the road as they were in the very beginning. I think they thought people would lose interest in it and, they could just kind of like slip things under the radar, you know?
Well, typically when that happens, there's another crime that takes
Right.
place
Mhm.
close to that one to deflect the information, and
Mhm.
that's what I'm trying to go back into my head. What other crime was there that was, that would deflect attention, and I don't know of any other crime.
No, there hasn't been.
You
I
know what I
mean,
mean? And
why that's
so
exactly why we've been on this all
right,
this time, you
right.
know?
So,
Mhm.
yeah, I something don't make sense, and it will. It will. We just have to keep digging.
Oh yeah, Brian, what Brian said about the FBI not wanting to mess up all their operators,
I wouldn't.
and whatnot. Yeah.
I wouldn't. Shit, the first press conference or the first statement from Fry in the fucking parking lot was saying the community was cool, and that it was a unalive self unalive situation. I'm sure when they requested the FBI's assistance, FBI walked in there and looked at the shit that they had and said, "Hell no, I ain't touching that shit." That's what I think took place. They're like, we could if I could sense a fucking disaster from the presser in the parking lot, I'm sure they could, you know?
Yeah.
I sensed it from the fucking first time I seen that shit. I was like, "What? Who unalive? What?" Made no damn sense. And then when they shortly came out with the next press conference and said, "Oh, okay, well, we think it's this," and then they kind of backtracked, that's when I flipped the fuck out. I'm like, "You gotta be fucking kidding me. You're sitting there telling people to the community that they're fucking safe, and now you're coming out telling people that they need to be vigilant and they need to report tips and what?"
Oh wow, Bonnie had something really interesting to say. Did you see what she was saying about San
No,
Quentin?
I'm sorry. I'm just waiting for this thing to be coming back up. I'm watching
Is
this.
that the
What
first
did I see
comment? I
here?
was scrolling back up. Um, if you've
Sorry,
got
Bonnie.
timestamps on 4:15 Eastern is her first comment, I think.
4:15 Eastern. They are on break. Yeah. I mean, we can go to some of the commentary here. Uh Let me see. Let me skip ahead. Ooh, I do like her. I do want to hold on one second. I do want to go to chain.
Exactly what is entailed in the testing and what the defense is entitled to in order to represent their
I
client.
like her reporting.
That's right. That's
More
exactly what we've been watching. And we know that this judge is not letting us live stream the hearing. So as we get portions of that hearing so that you can see it in its entirety, we are bringing it to you. So while we have an opportunity, we want to bring in live now Latah County Courthouse Court TV legal correspondent Chanley Painter outside of that courthouse. Chanley, rather, and tell
Heels
us,
on the
so,
ground.
I noticed the judge is asking questions. He's seemingly very engaged. I know your description earlier, the defendant had an awkward smile as he kind of walked into the courtroom. Tell us all of your impressions since you have been inside that courtroom with him.
Well, it's a pretty full house, Michael and Ashley, filled with media, some community members watching this hearing unfold, the parties, of course, and the family of Kaylee Gonsalves, who walked right past our live shot into the courthouse earlier today. Her mother, Kaylee's mother, telling me that they're optimistic about the day and the judge's decisions that we hope to hear later this afternoon. Inside the courtroom, like I said, a pretty packed house. It was essentially silent as we waited for everything to start, and we had all eyes on the door where the accused mass murderer would walk in. He comes in, as you probably can see on your screen, with a gray suit and a tie, and gives this sort of awkward
Okay, I'm gonna pause it right there. 'Cause they're gonna do this shit again to me, and I'm not about it. I'm onto your shit, Court TV. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna put that up real quick.
Okay.
I'm onto their shit now. Wait till tonight. I'll be really on it. Yeah. Yeah, she is adorable. Does great reporting too.
Yeah, she
Let
does.
me see. I saw a comment here. Thought I seen something here. If it goes and Fallon, this is why I got so upset at the beginning of the case, because when Birdie was offering people in the community to buy a warning device at a discounted price, I'm like, you gotta be freaking kidding me. This town only has 20 to 30,000 freaking residents, and that includes the students. And you're telling me you're gonna charge these people when Ellie's not allowing a profile to be put out, when they're not allowing the families to put up a reward when they were wanting to?
That's right. They never did release an FBI profile.
And Birdie couldn't break off 30,000 fucking warning devices when, you know what, they're stupid. Because if they would have broke off 30,000, which honestly, how much does it cost to make one? A couple bucks. So you're going to take a financial hit at first, but then everybody would have been talking about Birdie and how they donated all their freaking devices to the community, and how Birdie was there to support the community even though Ellie wasn't at the time. Can you imagine how much Birdie would have been? It's stupid to me. It's marketing 101, because hello, it's going to cost you, it's like a roof. It's going to cost you a decent amount up front, but in time, you're making the community feel safe. That should make you feel good, CEOs. And then at the same time, so you can enrich your pockets, because that's what it's about, the bottom dollar, you'll get your money back, because everybody will go, oh, wow, I would rather get a Birdie device because they actually did something for a community that needed it, instead of buying one that's, a couple dollars cheaper. It just didn't make any damn sense. But most importantly, it would have helped that community, because they had to sit there and walk around and side eye every single frickin' person that lived in that community, because nobody knew who the fuck it was. They didn't even have an idea. They didn't even have a vehicle. They had a stock photo. And the stock photo was a vehicle where how many fucking people were registered to have one in that area and the surrounding areas? Give me a fucking break. You expected these communities to sit there and be cool and comfortable, go to damn school, trying to do school, live your life, and then have to fucking worry about if you should go get a bottle of water or something because you're really thirsty, but you can't walk somewhere a block and a half away by yourself because you don't even know who the fuck to look out for. You can't get your baby diapers. When you ran out on accident, there's nobody to help walk you safe or drive with you. Give me a break. The fact that they did this shit to the community, and then this shit's happening with this fucking prosecution. I'm starting to think they just need to clean fucking house right now. This is so disrespectful to the victims, the family, and the community with the way that they're approaching this. It's so sad. I'm sorry for going on a little rant.
smile as he looks up towards the gallery and down. It was a very weird moment, but it was noticed by everyone in the courtroom, especially the victim's family members. I noticed Kaylee's mom, Christy, turn to her sister sitting next to her and kind of roll her eyes and shake her head that defendant would dare to even make any sort of expression inside the courtroom. And there was another moment that unfolded with a witness, the second defense witness of the day, where Ann Taylor, Kohberger's defense attorney, had some trouble working the technology of the PowerPoint, and the judge said, well, maybe we need another expert to show up inside the courtroom. Everyone sort of chuckled, including her client, the defendant. He gave another little smile there, but he's showing more expression today than we've seen in previous hearings.
Chanley, what were some of your takeaways from today's testimony? I mentioned earlier that I think this is really, it's becoming a very important issue, and as it's used more and more in courtrooms across the country, in DNA as far as genetic genealogy. This is almost setting a standard for what defense attorneys need to look for and ask for in discovery, as well as in cross-examination. What are some of your key takeaways from some of the testimony we heard this morning?
Absolutely, Michael. This doesn't surprise me that the defense team here is challenging literally every step of this process, because I'm sitting in the courtroom and we all know that they took a cheek swab of the defendant and it's a perfect match. Why are we going through this process of how this genetic genealogy investigation unfolded? Well, that's because the defense wants to challenge every part of this investigation, right, when we know the foregone conclusion. But still, here we are today. It's probably why the prosecution hasn't cross-examined any of these expert witnesses thus far today. But what has been standing out to me is that this is a defense who wants to make sure they obtain every part of what the investigators did last November, December in trying to solve this crime, so that they can hire their own experts to analyze that same type of data, so to give them some fodder for cross-examination of any witnesses during a trial. So they're asking for this judge to compel prosecutors to turn all of it over, because prosecutors say, we're not even going to use it. It's not really relevant at this point, and we want to protect the identities of the hundreds of people who were brought up and to build this family tree. But I'd say, even though it kind of could be a little tedious with experts, it's really fascinating if you're into DNA evidence, Michael. And
23andMe, they offer health reports and trait reports based on your DNA that can tell you if you have a higher than average likelihood of developing certain cancers or certain diseases. They tell you things that are kind of silly, like, do you like cilantro, or if you're prone to drinking more caffeine than the average or less. But they can tell all of those things from the DNA test that they've done.
And that's only one of the databases that offer that much information.
23andMe does, and then there's a third-party site called Prometheus that you can take your data file and upload it there, and it will run these reports on it. Prometheus, and if I got that wrong, it's not because I'm lying.
You changed lives.
Coming up, more live testimony as the witness breaks down the science behind DNA. That's right on the other side of this short break. Stay tuned.
Another short break.
That captivated the world.
Couldn't keep my life straight.
That demand.
Another
Yeah, they do
another
quite a
short
bit.
break when we just had a short clip of the court there. That was cool. They took that long of a break to give us that little bit of a clip, but that's okay. I'm going to be here until the end, and I guess we'll be having more tests. I think tonight's, I don't know. I guess I will be having an episode tomorrow morning because I feel like I need to do the testimonies tonight, and I feel like tomorrow I need to do the hearings. So I think they're going to be two separate shows now. I thought it was just going to be this gentleman's testimony, but if there's going to be more testimonies to go into, I think that's going to be, I don't know. What do you think? Do you think it'd be more beneficial to go into the testimony or the hearings? What do you think, Dolphin? Let me know in chat what you think. Do you think it would be
Can
more
you show
beneficial?
Law and Crime Network? 'Cause I don't know
No,
what they have.
no,
Oh, okay.
I can't. I'll have to use Court TV because they're cool with.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Unfortunately, on crime, you take your chances, and I just don't want to take any chances. Even one, just because. That's why I even do some stuff on the lounge, just because.
Right,
I
right.
want to make sure that I don't take any chances not being able to be here for you guys. But I'm sure there'll be Court TV version for sure. Um, I would love to ask. I would love to sit down and talk with. Trust me, like in one day when I'm doing what I want to do is it's half of my week is going to be interviews and conversations with people. Yeah.
Phantasmic said that the lawyer was on. He posted a video about this,
Yeah.
and I saw him on the Hey JB, the guy that's down in Florida.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Hmm.
those guys are big time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm nobody. So
Uh,
in due time, you know what I'm saying? In due
hmm.
time. In due time. When the time is right, things happen, and you know, that's how I. That way, there's no disappointment. There's no expectations. It's all beautiful. So whenever the time is right, that's when it's supposed to happen, and that's how I approach everything.
I wonder if there's an attorney that's in Idaho that, isn't like, a huge attorney, but would like to get
I
some
don't.
YouTube
You know,
exposure.
I was wondering about that, but I don't think anybody would be interested because I've discussed it with other people,
Hmm.
and they pretty much said that anybody that is working in that state that has, is in the legal profession, just basically won't talk because things could be at jeopardy. You know,
Okay.
so it's the Yoli. She's got a lot of insight. She's from the law profession, even though she's from a different state. So once Yoli, I think she'll be available tonight. Draw. I would love to have Draw. There's a lot of people that do watch the show that are in the profession. Miss Tracy, paralegal. There's
Hmm.
paralegals out there. I would love to have you guys up on panel tonight too. I have 10 seats, and I'm just sitting in one of them. I would love to have different people from those professions if you'd like to hop up too this evening. Definitely would love it because I don't know. I'm thinking these testimonies uh, is something to really. I think that's what needs to be highlighted right now, just because this is what was used to be part of the PCA to
Hmm.
charge, arrest, everything, and this dude's been sitting incarcerated for how many months now? You
9.
know, right?
Hmm.
Exactly. I think that's, and then tomorrow morning, I'll just go ahead. I'll do another live because I'm loving this morning shit. I really am. I wish I could do it for you guys every day. So I'm going to get on tomorrow morning and I'm going to do the analyzing of the hearings, the one from before and this one. And then I'll have to start the body cam stuff maybe early next week sometime because I do want to do that members only for you guys, and we can do Sigma Chi if you guys want to. Part 2.
Oh, actually, I
Definitely want to
take
do.
that back. He's been incarcerated for 231 days.
Um, I can't wait till I can get some cool sound effects and stuff. Ooh. All right, here we go. 1 second. We are back in the courtroom. Let me. 23. Here we go.
So microwave is the actual piece of lab material that they used to run this test. It was designed, so microwaves were designed for biomedical research. They're designed for scientific research. And unlike the STRs that you use for POTUS, microwaves pretty much scan your entire genome. They're looking at, so we talked about autosomal DNA. They look at about 600,000 individual bits of your autosomal DNA. Those are called single nucleotide polymorphisms. So NUCLEOTIBE and then BOLYMORPHISM. I feel like I'm in a spelling bee. These are individual bits of DNA that are known to vary among people. Most of our DNA is identical, so looking at those bits are not going to tell you who's related to whom. They look at these microarrays specifically target the chunks of DNA that we know vary between or among individuals. And so that uses higher levels of DNA than you typically have for forensic purposes.
Do you mean more like when you talk about spin and tumors blocking the tube, you have to have a lot of it to do this?
You have to have a fair amount of DNA to do a microarray.
What happens if you don't?
Then there is an alternative. There's an alternative method called whole genome sequencing, and this is there's whole genome sequencing, and the specific way they go about it is called next generation sequencing. And that will actually work on lower levels of DNA. It will work on lower quality DNA, so DNA that might have been broken down because it's been exposed to the elements for a while. That will work better on DNA that's contaminated. So it might have bacterial DNA in it, or fungal DNA in it. So that is an alternative approach to microarrays, but it's more labor intensive and it's more expensive.
So you either microarray or this other way that's more expensive and some like more issues with to get to something that you can put in your computer and find out who you're going to be.
Yes.
What is this?
So this is just kind of a teaching strategy just to show that we have 2 parents, 4 grandparents, 8 great-grandparents, and I've color-coded the grandparent lines to help us track how the matches fit in.
And when you do autosomal DNA, it's this group of people that you're drawing.
Those are the people who contributed the DNA in you, yes.
What do we have here?
So this is an outline showing how some of your DNA matches might fit into your tree. So you may have some second cousins or first cousins once removed, or second cousins once removed, who also took the DNA test and are in the same database as you, and they would share DNA with you and would be listed in your matches. And you can see that in this diagram, I'm only showing 2 great-grandparent lines. There are actually 4. The diagram gets too messy if I try to add more. So the thing is, when you get these matches, the DNA company doesn't actually know how you're related to them. It just knows how much DNA you share with them. And so the DNA company is not going to tell you, this is your second cousin. It's just going to say this person shares so much DNA with you, and they could be your second cousin, but they might could be something else. And then it's up to the genealogist to essentially reverse engineer the tree based on the DNA matches.
You do that when you have to find out who this person is based on these various matches in different places.
Right.
Do you have experience as a genetic genealogist doing that, where you don't know who this person is, you've got to identify this person based on their kit?
Yes.
So, what do you do?
So you will get a list of DNA matches from your testing company. And they are sorted, that list is sorted by how much DNA they share with you. So it's not necessarily sorted by...
Sorry, it's saying followed all 3 female victims on Instagram.
What?
Yeah, Court TV has it up there. Followed all 3 female victims on Instagram.
Oh, so they're back to that. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm putting the coffee cup up.
Those people are to you. You get this list, and sometimes they use their real names, the people in the list. Sometimes they use an alias. Depending on the database, you may or may not be able to see their email address. And some of them will have their own family trees linked to their DNA results because they're doing the same thing you are. They're trying to research their family trees. A lot of them won't.
Oh my
Still
lord,
with
another
us,
one.
Kirk Nurmi. All right, Kirk, tell us what you think of this testimony. And Michael, I want to turn to you first, though, because again, another DNA expert. I think it is cutting edge, learning about
He was
what
Jody
the
Arias'
standards should be
defense
for
attorney.
defense attorneys.
You know what's
One
being
of
raised
them.
for me, and
Oh,
Kirk, I
yeah.
want to bring you in quickly on the conversation.
Ruined
is,
his career.
one of the things being raised by the defense is the
Oh, wow.
reasonableness of the search, right? Because at the end of the day, when you talk about what they're doing here and the expectation of privacy, those are all issues that are raised by what's going on here. And it really sort of hit home to me as I'm listening to this witness testify about all the different levels that this DNA testing can connect with, and the fact that they just tell you how much you share with this person, not necessarily how they're related to you.
Right. I mean, I think we put this together with the first witness and saying why you would be ineffective. Now, this witness scientifically is talking about the methodology, the conclusions that could be drawn from it, and why the defense needs to investigate the validity of those conclusions. And so, again, going back to the idea and what Ashley said before break, I don't think this inquiry would be happening as wasn't a death penalty case. But this evidence is the most powerful evidence against Mr. Kohberger, and therefore the defense is well taken to lay out the steps that they should be doing, advancing in order to provide a proper defense. And this expert is detailing some of the things that make it the case that this is just not a foregone conclusion. They can't just accept the state's word for it.
But why is the state fighting it as hard as there? We know, go back to the earlier discussion about, listen, if you're the state, why not turn everything over and let them decide what their defense is going to be? Why fight it as much as they are?
You know, that's what I don't understand, because in a death penalty case, they know that the defense attorneys are entitled to this information, particularly in any case, frankly. But in a death penalty case, the scrutiny just becomes heightened all the way. I could see their concerns about privacy, some of the people that have put their names into the database, things like that. That can be controlled. That can be restricted to a protective order. But why the state is fighting this, to me, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
The only thing that I can think about is I think a lot of what they think the defense is doing, Kirk, is trying to buy time. They're trying to not toll or not give up their right to a speedy trial, yet get more time. So if they can prove that they have to do more work in order to figure out the issues presented by a couple of different things, the grand jury and the DNA, they can tell the judge, look, we don't want to waive our speedy trial rights, but we're going to need an extra month just to kind of figure this out. Because they did that already with the grand jury issue and got 37 extra days, which angered the prosecution. They're arguing against it. Your thoughts?
Yeah, but when the state made the choice, and it's completely the state's choice to charge the death penalty, they have to understand that death penalty counsel has to be prepared for the case. So this idea that this is going to be some kind of speedy trip down a conveyor belt to place Mr. Kohberger on death row is simply not a viable belief. So this idea that, you know, they're going to withhold this evidence, you don't need it, you're going to take more time. No, that's not really what is at issue here. It's not speed. It's getting it right, and the defense is telling the judge why they need this to, in fact, do it right.
And I will say, I love that they keep saying it's we don't want to appeal in 40 years. They do have to be really cautious, and I think it's the right thing to do because you want to prevent an appeal as much as possible. Kirk Nurmi, always a delight. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, great stuff today, Kirk. Appreciate it. Folks, coming up, the expert says it's possible you could have a first cousin that shares less DNA than a second cousin. It's interesting stuff. We're going to hear about that on the other side of the break. Keep it here on your front row seat to justice.
Fine, and I'm just going to let it play in the background until it comes back because we're only on a minute delay. We're finding out some fucking shit today.
Yeah, but
We are
what she
finding
said
something.
seems a little misleading, though. Going back to, you remember CeCe Moore, the videos that we watched?
Yeah, I need to get
And she
that
had the
episode for the
charts and
19th.
everything.
Mm-hmm.
The what is it, centimorgans, I think, is a measurement that they use.
Yeah.
The range of the centimorgans would still identify,
Mm-hmm.
you know, what the relationship was to the test subject. So you can't just say, oh, we don't know how they're related to that person.
I'm gonna try my best because really I'm only gonna have like probably an hour and a half to nap. If anybody, if you can, I know I have it in my folder, and
Oh,
please
I'll
don't
be
take
up.
this as me trying to be lazy. I'm really not.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really feeling this episode tonight is going to be a long one too, and the hour and a half nap, I'm really going to need it. If anybody can send me that, it's the Presumption podcast. If anybody can send me that episode, I know the timestamp of where I need to go for that one. There was another. Oh my gosh, I wish I could remember. There was another interview that we recently watched, and if anybody might remember it, where they were also talking about. I know we were reading through the documents. It was the show we were reading through the documents that just came out. When it came to the person that Ann Taylor, some lady that Ann Taylor had a whole bunch of information in. Oh my gosh, I'm having such a brain fart. We read documents that Ann Taylor had. It was from somebody else. Some lady
Mm-hmm.
was writing her DNA stuff, and it was in the same episode. We watched a video that somebody else talked just like CC Moore. If anybody can remember that, please.
Well, I just looked through my history. The Presumption podcast with
Yeah,
Sarah Azari and Jim
yeah.
Griffin. I just put it backstage for you.
Okay.
The second thing you asked for, I'm trying to remember
Yeah,
what
it
that
was.
was.
If anybody has free time, it's got to be within. When did those documents come out? Because it was either the day those documents came out or the day after I read through them. It was when I read through the documents of that other person that was explaining the DNA, and there was a video we watched during that same episode, and that's the video. Is this the video, Phantasmic? Let me see here.
I
My
watched that Presumption podcast on July 9th.
Let me see here. 1 second. Okay, that's Presumption. Okay. Now, thank you for that. 2828. So I'm going to add that to this list. I need. If anybody has free time, if you're able to just kind of skim through some old episodes, I wish I could I know that I read through those documents. I know it's the same show. So if anybody's able to find that show, it had to be within a week or two that I did this episode. And if not, it's no problem. I can always do it this weekend. I just know I have a feeling tonight's going to be a long episode, and both CC Moore and I remember when I watched that video, I was like, damn, I need to link those two together, and it sucks that I didn't do it at the time that I thought about it, because I wouldn't be in this position.
What are they talking about?
This, and I'm sure they're going to get right
The
back
first
into
motion
it.
that they're talking about, though, was the defense motion, all about.
Oh, I'm sorry. What's up?
Oh, no, I just was wondering
Sorry.
what they were saying. They're still on DNA, huh? In this.
Yeah, yeah. And I think there's somebody
Now
else
is
too.
genealogist Dr. Leah Larkin. Let's get back into the courtroom.
Leah Larkin.
Parents are who their grandparents are in the trees of water. Time consuming process. It is time consuming.
You talk to us about their DNA.
Yes.
That it doesn't tell you how closely related some of this.
Right, so we measure autosomal DNA in a unit called centimorgans, CENTIMORGANS. The more centimorgans you share with someone, on average, the more closely you are related, but it's possible, for example, there's a range for most of these relationships. So it's actually possible that you could have a full first cousin who shares less DNA with you than a half first cousin. And that's one of the things that complicates the work of a genetic genealogist. We only have an approximate relationship from the centimorgan, not a hard and fast, this is definitely so-and-so relationship.
In your work, when you have your unidentified person and you put the profile in and receive matches in various places, you're looking at these centmorgans to try to get a clue. What do you do after you have this information that tells you about centmorgans?
So I have to essentially build trees for these matches. The first step in the process is to figure out how they become one another before I can figure out, for example, if I'm trying to help an adoptee find their biological parents. To figure out how they are related to their matches, first I have to figure out how the matches are related to one another. And then I kind of reverse engineer where my adoptee will fit into that family tree based on the DNA results.
What is that side?
So we mentioned earlier one of the tools that I helped to develop for analyzing DNA results. This is a set of screenshots from this shared centimorgan tool. It's also sometimes called the shared centimorgan project tool. That's too many syllables. So what you do is you will type in the centimorgan amount for one of your matches. On the previous slide, the top match was 72 centimorgans. So if I were working that case, I would type in 72 centimorgans into this tool, and you get the diagram there where the possible relationships are highlighted. So your person of interest is your adoptee. In this tool, highlight the possible relationships for a 72 centimorgan match. And if you count up all of the little highlighted boxes on there, there are 30 or 35 possible relationships for somebody who shares 72 centimorgans. And so this is sorry, I'm not supposed to talk.
What, I don't know what the statistic that just popped up is about. What is that?
Okay, so I mentioned that this is a statistical tool that's using probabilities, and so even though there are 30 or 35 possible relationships for a 72 centimorgan match, some of them are more likely statistically than others. And so this panel that is in that tool is listing which of the relationships are most likely. And so there are a group of relationships with, I can't quite read that from here, but I think it says half their cousins. That's the most likely group, and then below that, I think it's third cousins. That's the next most likely group, and it has the genealogist. That tells me that I'm going to need to build this person's tree back, probably to second great grandparent level, before I can conceivably figure out where my person of interest fits into that. Have access to any output.
This is that's the East Idaho news version, and the audio is, I don't know. What do you guys think? It sounds worse.
And GEDmatch and family tree DNA, are those law enforcement only, or are those usable by others?
Those are usable by regular.
I mean, I can definitely hear the testimony easier, but I can't really. I don't know. What do you guys think? Here's Court TV.
Is that important to know how far back you have to build that?
It's sort of going in and out on my end.
Yeah, which one? This one or the one I just played? It's clear. You want me to go with? You want me to go with this one? Hold on.
Both of them existed long before.
Is that better?
It seems like it.
Okay, we'll go with this one.
My heritage, I don't think we've talked a ton about that. I understand ancestry and 23 means you have to give your own sample, they do their own thing. But my heritage, how do you have to do the fitness food for that?
No, so MyHeritage sells DNA tests, as does Family Tree DNA. So you can send a kit in. Those are cheat swabs; they're not spit. That's technical. But for both MyHeritage and Family Tree DNA, you can test directly with them, but you could also take your data file from one of the other companies and just upload the file. And it's just a text file that has thousands and thousands of lines of DNA data.
So as a genetic genealogist, you are working with somebody and you can take their profile that was made at 23andMe and put it in MyHeritage and Family Tree DNA.
Yes.
You also put it in DIP.
Yes.
And law enforcement can only search Family Tree DNA and GEDmatch. Can they search your person?
If there's a DNA match to my person, they will see that match.
Okay. Does your person have to agree, law enforcement, to let that happen?
If we're talking about my adoptee, so it's complicated because the rules have changed continually over the past few years. As it currently stands at GEDmatch, if we were to take a brand new kit, a brand new adoptee client, and upload their data to GEDmatch, we would have to consent. The client would have to either consent or decline to consent to participate in law enforcement matching.
If they decline to participate and law enforcement searches GEDmatch, then they should not see your clients.
They should not see my clients.
Okay. Same with Family Tree DNA.
Family Tree DNA, the system is kind of the inverse. If you add a kit to Family Tree DNA, they automatically opt you in. There is a way to opt yourself out, but you kind of have to know where to find it. It's not obvious.
Again, a person can keep their information private, so it doesn't wind up in law enforcement searches.
They
Yes. Family Tree DNA. And MyHeritage is different, law enforcement should not look.
MyHeritage explicitly prohibits it.
Did I just ask you all the questions that related to the arrows?
No. So the database, the total database at Family Tree DNA and the total database at GEDmatch are both larger than the number of people who opted in. So not everyone at Family Tree DNA has opted into law enforcement matching. Not everyone at GEDmatch has opted into law enforcement matching. And so the arrows are the gray bars are showing my estimates. And these are my personal estimates for the number of people in each of those databases who are officially accessible to law enforcement for matching.
And that's those companies have two categories of this. I think we're now to the last section where we're going to talk about the work products of genetic genealogy. What does that topic mean?
So these are if I have an adopted client, this is what I would give the client at the end of our agreement. These are the products that I would give them, and in basically everybody who's doing forensic genetic genealogy that I know of, except possibly the FBI. So this is what we are all used to for clients.
What are we seeing on this first slide that you did here?
Okay, so those are two of the match lists. The one on the left is what a typical match list looks like at GEDmatch. The one on the right is what a typical match list looks like at Family Tree DNA. For my clients, I will actually screenshot the matches and put that in the appendix to my report. I also copy all of the matches into another program because sometimes people will, they'll be in the match list of my adoptee and then they'll disappear. And so I like to have a record that, hey, when I uploaded this kit, I had these matches there. So even if they decide to delete their kit later, I still have a record that they shared so and so much DNA with my client.
This is like Family Tree.
It does look like a Family Tree. And it's anonymized. There are no real.
Dr. Larkin, what are we seeing on this Family Tree?
So this is the Family Tree that I would have built for my client. And this would have attached to it documentation. So birth and death records, it would have census records if I was able to find the family in the census, immigration records. Any sort of documentation that I might find. I often do family photos. A lot of times, you might find articles in the newspaper, and I will link everything that I find to this family tree that I then give the client.
Does that help verify for your client that the results you gave them were accurate?
Yes, it helps verify that all of the relationships that I'm reporting to them are documented and yeah.
And it looks like you give them a copy of the descendant diagram.
I do.
And you give them a copy of the what are the odds. And a written report.
I do. If the client requests it, I will write a report.
Other than those things that you give your clients, what would be available on the forensic side of the genetic genealogy?
Right, so they should have the original DNA data file, whether it was microarray or the next generation sequencing. I don't need to give that to my client because they had that with them. There are some complications when you're dealing with forensic DNA because I didn't have a person spit a whole bunch of DNA into a tube. Sometimes you might have a mixture where more than one person is represented in the sample. So that needs to be analyzed, and there presumably would be documentation associated with that analysis, which is called deconvolution.
No, I'm actually, I will be ending it after this lady's done, and we can, if there's more after this, we can go into the rest tonight. I am gonna take a break after this if it does keep going, and we can go into the rest in the beginning of tonight's show and then go into the rest after that. I just want to make sure I can get a little bit of rest because I have a feeling tonight's going to be another 5, 6, 7 hour show, which I'm down for. I just need to make sure I get a little bit of rest. And Devil Doll, I love the new icon photo. It's very colorful. And no, I didn't. I've been going still. I was going to be done because I thought it was just going to be Stephen Mercer testifying, but now there's more people up there. And I wanted to keep going, but I did not realize that it was going to go this long. So,
And they're still
you
on the
know,
first issue.
yeah. So I'm going to try and finish this lady. But if I'm not able to, we will finish whatever I don't get to or don't finish off with. We will get into that in tonight's episode, and then we can go to the other ones and kind of reanalyze all the other ones after that. And yes, I love it, Devil Doll. I'm waiting to put the notification out until I know when this is done. As of right now, I did bump it back. I'm going to be going at 8 p.m. Eastern. As of right now. So I would say 8 p.m. Eastern is probably a good time because even if this goes another half an hour, that will still allow me a 2-hour nap. So as long as I can get like an hour and a half, 2 hours, I think I'll be good to do another show. Get a little bit of sleep, wake up tomorrow morning, go through the court hearings, and then do the members only tomorrow night. So I'm definitely going to give you everything I got this weekend. Sports show Sunday morning, Sunday night game show where we all can chill back and play some games. So yes. I just need a little bit, just a little nap, y'all. Some time to eat some food, zonk out for a minute, take a shower, and be fresh for tonight, and then I'll be ready to go another shift.
CONVOLUTION. If there was not, if there was non-human DNA contamination mixed in with the sample, sometimes, and not always, sometimes they will do what is called enrichment, where they're trying to increase the proportion of DNA that is human in that sample. If that process was done at the lab, there should be a record of it. The bioinformatics that we talked about, so imputing any missing data and then stripping out all of the non-genealogical DNA points, all of those, there should be records of.
logins or PIN numbers?
Right, so when you have, once you've gone through all these steps, you've done the, what we call the wet lab work, where you're actually doing the, working with the samples, and then you've done the computer analyses, you end up with the output file that mimics, it's like a fake microarray file, right? So it mimics the data that we would have gotten from a genealogy company. GEDmatch and Family Tree DNA both charge law enforcement to use their database, and so there should be some sort of contractual agreement or receipts that you paid the company for the upload. And then there are logins, because for you to be able to see the matches, you have to log into that account. You have to have access. You have at Family Tree DNA.
Thank you, Kat
you
K.
have
I
to log into
appreciate that.
specific account. At GEDmatch, I believe you can give access to a few different researchers, but they have to know what's called the KIT number, which is the unique identifying number for that.
When you said microarray, it reminded me that when we talked about microarrays, you told us that those contain a ton of like personal information.
Yes.
This also has all of this?
Yes.
And do you, because there's so many more, I guess, people or kids or profiles in my area, is that a place
Bonnie,
that
thank you so
I
much.
match my one?
Thank you.
Yes.
I appreciate you guys.
Dr. Lucky, thank you. I don't have any other questions, but don't leave quite yet. I'll pass it to you.
Thank you. Any cross-examination? Okay, thank you. All right, may this witness be excused?
Yes.
Okay, so you're excused. You can stay here if you like, or you can get on with your life. Thank you. Very educational.